Good morning, everyone. As we were preparing this forum, we had actually a very good preparation meeting with the ambassador, who said something about Canada, for those of us who'd never been here. He said, you'll find it's just like the big neighbor, only better. So maybe there's a message for Ukraine here as well. And I think there's a lot of progress that has been made in that direction, and we're continuing to work. We've been in Ukraine for 25 years to make sure that it is much, much, much better than the big neighbor. I'd like to thank Canada for inviting us. Canada is a shareholder of EBRD, just like Ukraine. And we are, just like Canada, a partner of Ukraine since the early days of independence. We've been in the country for, again, a quarter century. I noticed this morning that the Deputy Prime Minister talked about quarter centuries a lot, so I'd like to focus on doing things together in the country for the next 25 years. Today, I'm not going to try and paint a rosy picture. Of course, Ukraine is a difficult sell. The people in this room, most of them have an emotional connection to the country, some attachment, but they also know that if they want to convince their boards and they want to convince their management teams to invest in Ukraine, they need more than that. They need stories. They need success stories. And of course, everyone has unsuccessful stories to remember. There is a geopolitical danger in that region, not just in Ukraine. The whole region that I'm in charge of for EBRD includes Ukraine, Belarus, Moldova, Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Georgia. I'm not going to list the countries in that list that have a geopolitical conflict, an armed conflict involving the larger neighbor one way or another, but that's 5 out of 6. So there is a geopolitical shadow over the country. There's also, of course, the governance issues that some of the speakers have mentioned. But that is not the full story. The full story is that this is a country that is changing. People get a bit antsy when we talk about opportunities in Ukraine because opportunities are always far into the future. But in fact, the opportunities in Ukraine exist now. And it's not just the plant that Igor is selling, it's not just the DCFTA that Natalia has been talking about. These are real investment opportunities. We've been investing in the country for 25 years. We've invested close to 12 billion euros in Ukraine successfully, mostly successfully. We're more competent for our mistakes, but we've done a few of those, hopefully. And these opportunities exist now. The country has transformed. Of course, the country still needs to transform. If you look at it, someone said a statistician is someone who's going to tell you that when your head is in a freezer and your feet are in an oven, on average, you feel perfectly fine. All right. So there's area in Ukraine where there's a freezer, and there's areas in Ukraine where there's an oven, but there's a lot of progress. And I want to say, in the energy sector, we've seen a lot of progress. In the banking sector, we've seen a lot of progress. And in the governance, when people talk about the ProZorro system, which we're honored to have had the opportunity to support, they say it's going to save the budget some money. And that's really good. But it's also going to transform the opportunities to participate in procurement contracts for the government. Because it means there's an open process. It means you can compete. You don't have to know someone in the ministry who knows someone in another ministry who knows who to pay. You just need to have a good offer and a good product. And that's a transformation. When we say that Naftogaz now has an independent board, again, it's one of the projects which we've been proud to be able to support. That's a revolution in Ukraine. Naftogaz used to be the darkest corner of governance in state enterprises. And now it has a majority of independent members on its board. It's an example to follow for other companies in that country. So the country is changing. The opportunity is now. Now, where have we invested over the past 25 years? You see that we've actually amassed a considerable wealth of experience across sectors in the economy in Ukraine. A third of what we've done went to financial institutions, and that's not just because we're bankers and we like banks. It's because we use banks to reach out into the economy, into companies that are too small for us to deal with directly. We are the IFI with the largest presence on the ground. Shevki, who's here, who's our country director, based in Kiev, is the guy with the coolest shirt in the whole room, has a team of 80 people. So that's about half my team in Ukraine. But you can't work with hundreds of SMEs in the largest country in Europe out of Kiev. You need banks that have branches, that have thousands of people talking to their clients, monitoring what they do on a day-to-day basis, and that's why we work so much with financial institutions. Agribusiness has been a very large sector of investment and will remain. It is the locomotive of the Ukraine economy right now. It has been able to withstand the impacts of the devaluation and the macroeconomic instability, and it's an area where we are going to invest continuously. Transport, manufacturing, power, energy, infrastructure, all of these sectors have been sectors where we have invested a lot. One number I wanted to put on this slide is the private sector share of our investment. We are, just like the minister compared us with the IMF and the World Bank, and we're very happy to be supporting reform in Ukraine. But unlike these two institutions, we actually invest in the private sector. We do not lend money to the government. This guy is not getting money from me. But the companies in Ukraine, the municipalities in Ukraine, even the state enterprises in Ukraine get some money from us. And through that, working together with our partners in the IMF, together with our partners in the World Bank, we help this country change itself. And finally, we do loans and equity. So any investor in this room that wants to come to Ukraine should certainly feel free to come to EBRD. When I look at the priorities we have, and I'm not going to speak very long about this, but just for everyone to be aware, energy comes to the fore because energy security has been the key to independence of the country. And the video said that since November 2015, Naftogaz has not imported gas from Russia anymore. That's in part due to two things that we've done. One is we've actually lent $300 million to Naftogaz, and $300 million is not a lot of money when it comes to buying gas. It still buys you more than 1 billion cubic meters, but it was the only foreign money available for Naftogaz to buy gas in the winter. And the second thing we've done with Naftogaz is we've actually helped them run a tender. This was a company that had a very simple process to buy gas. You pick up the phone and you call Gazprom. Or, in fact, in the old days, you would call an intermediary because perhaps you did not have the phone number to Gazprom. And that intermediary would give you the gas from Gazprom and, of course, be paid a fee for that feed. Now, what Naftogaz is doing now is it's running auctions, it's running tenders. So, in a very transparent process, major gas traders in Europe can come to Naftogaz and say, I'd like to deliver gas at the western border. This is, of course, often Russian gas, but it is gas that is delivered by the EU markets with the full transparency and therefore without the geopolitical side in the equation. And that is what Naftogaz has been doing for the first time this winter, and we hope will continue to do in the future. Second sector of, and of course energy doesn't stop there for us. We do a lot of renewable energy. There's, I think, not one serious project in renewable energy that is not looked at by the team. Some of them we do, some of them we can't, but all of them we look at. And so that's one of our major areas of focus. Agriculture, I said, is a major area as well. This year, we've signed already a number of transactions in the agribusiness sector, be it in agriculture, be it in the logistics chain of agriculture as well, grain elevators, these kinds of equipments which are so much needed in Ukraine. Infrastructure, we've relaunched infrastructure after the revolution. Just to give you some sense of numbers, we had started to be a bit disappointed with Ukraine in the last years of the Yanukovych regime, meaning that our target investment number for 2014 was 500 million euros. Then came the revolution. And so we sat down together and we asked this guy here, can you do more? And at the end of the year, we didn't deliver 6, 7, or 800 million. We delivered 1.2 billion of investments in 2014. We delivered another billion in 2015. And we're working hard to match that this year, even though the economy, the political uncertainty, and so on mean that the investments have been slower this year. We do hope to bring more foreign investors into the country together with us. Infrastructure has been one area where we've relaunched investments since the Maidan. Financial sector has been a success story for the central bank. We don't have anyone from the central bank, I think, here today, but it really has been a transformative process in the financial sector, meaning that today getting access to finance is not just for either the rich foreigners or the people that have the connections. We can now start to see a banking sector that will actually resume lending to the real economy. And finally, local capital markets, because at the end of the day, whatever money the IFIs bring, whatever money the banks bring, if you have a well-functioning capital market that is a multiple in terms of the amount of money that is available to entrepreneurs. Now, in that context, again, it's difficult, but there's very good opportunities. One of the ways, Ukraine is open for business, but once you're in, EBRD is open to help you. And we want you to be successful. Our success is your success, because your success is the success of modern Ukraine. Your success, the way investors in this room will behave in Ukraine, will lead the way, will show the way for new behaviors in the economy and for the success of democracy and of transparency in this country. Now, working with us, you have access to patient capital. We're not a private equity fund. We don't have to return money to investors in 3 years' time or 5 years' time. We've been there for 25 years. I bet we'll be there in another 25 years. So you have access to patient capital with us. Investing with us gives you project visibility and makes it easier to attract third-party financing, commercial financing. Often we actually can even help you with that, syndicate part of the loans that we do in order to make it easier for your project to take off. We have, among IFIs, an unparalleled experience of doing business in the country. We are, again, as the largest foreign investor and the largest team. We have a wealth of sector expertise and again, a strong local team based in Kiev. Investing with us helps you reduce the risk of project implementation, not just because of the expertise of the way we're going to help you shape it, but also we're going to be with you all the way. We're going to be with you, including in the most difficult of times. This is our job. We've never failed a client. Now, working with us, you have access to patient capital. We're not a private equity fund. We don't have to return money to investors in 3 years' time or 5 years' time. We've been there for 25 years. I bet we'll be there in another 25 years. So you have access to patient capital with us. Investing with us gives you project visibility and makes it easier to attract third-party financing, commercial financing. Often we actually can even help you with that, syndicate part of the loans that we do in order to make it easier for your project to take off. We have, among IFIs, an unparalleled experience of doing business in the country. We are, again, as the largest foreign investor and the largest team. We have a wealth of sector expertise and again, a strong local team based in Kiev. Investing with us helps you reduce the risk of project implementation, not just because of the expertise of the way we're going to help you shape it, but also we're going to be with you all the way. We're going to be with you, including in the most difficult of times. This is our job. We've never failed a client. When the going gets tough, the EBRD is there with you. And another reason to work with us, for those of you in this room who are consulting firms or suppliers to the municipalities, providers of railways, providers of trolleybuses, of water treatment equipment and so on, is that participating in EBRD financed projects gives you a guarantee that this will be fair and square. There will be no shady transactions. The process will be transparent. We have a client in Ukraine that says it's a pain to work with EBRD. It's really painful. The processes are long, detailed, but there's one big difference. 3 years after the construction, the road is not crumbling because it has been made to specifications and using a procurement process that has ensured that the whole of the money was actually going to build the road. So the road is not crumbling. So participate in the procurement opportunities of EBRD. It's an open process for everyone, and it's a matter of price and quality. They are the only two factors that really matter. And finally, you can rely on us in again complicated circumstances. Our clients come to us when they cannot get their VAT back. Now that problem has been solved. When they are in difficulties sometimes with the local administration here and there. Again, it's not a perfect place. So there are progresses and there's areas where progress needs to be made. And together with us, you're much safer and you're going to be much more successful. So as a last slide, there you go. There's a few telephone numbers. We have a few people in the room. So the country director for Ukraine is here. And we also have a small business development team which is outside, which can help you, direct you. And I'd like to mention, even though it is not as good as this place, but we still have to make the choice to put our North American Development Office south in Washington. But at least we have now someone here who is in your time zone and who we can call, who is the representative head of the representative office in Washington. We opened that office in April. So just like Ukraine, we're open for business, and just like Ukraine, we're open for you, and we'd be happy to help you be successful. Thank you.